Hi, 안녕하세요. How are you? Today I'm going to make another banchan, and this one is another one with potato, and I love this one. Mild or spicy, and we call this 감자조림. So 감자 means potato, and 조림 means braised, or yeah, it's braised. So braised. So we're going to make a braised potato, and this one will be mild edition. So QQ can eat it? No? He says, no, I want only meat. Give me meat, fish, that's all for meow. So the main ingredients for 감자조림, the braised potato, is potato obviously, here, and a little bit of minced garlic. So this was about 700 grams of potato, so a pound and a half, and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, or you could use even 2 if you like a lot of garlic. And potato, onion, you can put whatever you like. I would say like a 1 medium one, and this is 1 gigantic one, just a half of it. And you can see I slice it like this so that the tear gas part doesn't escape. Just leave it like this. Don't separate, otherwise bacon's gonna start crying. Okay, so that's about it. And now let's look at the sauces. So for sauce mix, you like my Mexican bowl? I like making the sauce first instead of dumping ingredients while braising. That way you have the correct ratio. So for that pound and a half of potato, let's start with 5 to 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just finish with 6. And 1 tablespoon of cooking wine. So this is totally optional ingredient because not everybody has this. And you can just use a little bit more sugar, just tiny bit of sugar and white vinegar. And that's one cooking tip if you don't have the cooking oil. So I'll just use about 1 tablespoon. And tiny bit of fish sauce, just for flavor. I'm gonna add about half tablespoon. You can add a little more. Then for sweet taste, I have 4 tablespoons of rice syrup. And the reason I use syrup for this one versus sugar is just for a cosmetic reason. And because it makes it very shiny when you use syrup versus sugar. But if you don't have syrup, you can just use about 3 tablespoons of sugar. This is actually 4 tablespoons of syrup. And that's about it. I'll add pepper now or later. I'll just use it later, okay? And that's what, now let's start cooking. So as usual, I'm gonna start frying the onion first so I can get more flavor. And this is when the tear gas can come out. Bacon says he doesn't like this at all. And the way to make this potato cook faster is by slicing like this. And you can make it a little bit thinner, but if it's too thin, it'll break. So I'll say about 1/4 to 1/3 inch thickness. I'm gonna put the whole thing. So once the flavor starts to come out from frying the onion and coat the potatoes with oil, I'm going to add the garlic, all of it. And let me just add a little bit of pepper since I already have them. And the sauce. So you put sauce first, and you do want to smell just the slight burning smell of the soy sauce before I add the water. So when the hot oil meets soy sauce, it creates pretty incredible flavor as it creates enzyme. And you do want that. You don't want to start with water right away. So now I add the water. This is 1 cup of water. You can start with half cup, but I usually like to start with at least 1 cup because it's going to reduce it down to very little. So let me just stir a little bit so the color gets to all the potatoes here. The syrup or sugar too, it'll be added much later. So I'm gonna cook this down at least halfway before I add the syrup so it doesn't burn. And now let's cover and cook for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll check it again. So this has been boiling in medium heat for 10 minutes now, and I think a potato is probably more than halfway done. So this is when I'm going to add the sweet paste, so all the syrup will go. And if the syrup isn't enough for the sweet taste that you want, then you could always add a little bit of sugar at the end. I'm kind of guessing I need to add just a little bit more sugar. So let's add about half tablespoons. That's about this much. And black pepper. Oh, bacon's so bored now. I have a little bit of green onions right now, so I'll just add that too. So now I'm going to cook it uncovered for another 5 minutes. I'm going to raise the heat to high so it reduces. Oh, also I'm going to add optional sesame oil, very little bit, just tiny bit. Like right about this, probably less than half teaspoon. Okay, so I ended up braising for 10 minutes until everything started to look pretty shiny. And you can see like it still has some stew-like consistency, but it's not so soupy anymore. And so this is about what I like, because if it doesn't have enough broth like this, and after you turn off the light or turn off the fire, then it's going to get very dry. So I turned off the heat, and as it cools down, the potatoes will continue to absorb the broth part, the soup part. And you do want that a lot of gravy in it. So I'm just going to turn off the heat and put the cover on like this, and just let it sit for another 10 minutes. Then not only is it all fully cooked, but it's going to make very sticky. So potatoes are done, and you can see it still has some sauces, and when it cools down, we usually eat it when it's pretty cold, and just eat it cold as leftover. And then that's when the broth, the soup part, gets really reduced and sticky. So when you're just serving this really fresh and hot like this, we usually dress it with a little bit of sesame seeds. If you don't like it or cannot digest it, you can skip this one, or a little bit of green onions, or like the really fancy version would be very thinly sliced red pepper that looks like thread, but those are so expensive. I will skip it here. So let me taste a little bit. I want the part with peppers. I hope it's not too hot. It's a little bit salty to just eat like this, but we usually eat it with fresh rice, fresh cooked rice. So that's why it's banchan. So banchan as in side dish to go with rice, and that's how we eat it. And bacon, potatoes too hot, so I'm gonna give him some little bit of ham. That's your pig, okay? So I hope everybody enjoyed this video and try to make this at home. And you know, if you want something really spicy, you could always add more peppers also. But this one, I kind of like it as a savory dish like this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.